Good afternoon. Very good, very good. It's really great to be here. I'd like to do a few thank yous too before I get started, if I may. I'd like to thank Mr. Jim Nelson, our executive director, who greeted me when I came in the first day of my arrival. Devin Tolliver, who is out of the San Diego national headquarters, who helped me with wonderful arrangements and also with my essay. I'd like to also thank Ann Hart and Rob Gerard, who were introducing me this week and also gave me lots of help and encouragement. Jill Dickens, who was my contact person here in Atlanta and my spelling coach. It's an inside joke. And also I'd like to thank my family who were not able to be here with me this week. My husband Joseph, my son Jameson, and my daughter Leah. But for their support, I would not be here. So thank you so much for that. I have 11 pages of text. I heard a few groans. What's the matter, folks? Not to worry. I printed my speech in 18-point font so that I would not have to use my eyeglasses. Oh, what price vanity. My speech is a little bit interactive. That's the word they use today. I've asked some people in the audience to help me out today, and I'm going to ask really all of you to help me with my presentation today. So I thank you for that in advance. I would like those of you already involved in AVID, teaching or interfacing with students, to raise your hands. Yowza, yowza, wonderful. That's great, that's great. Now, those people who had their hands up, I want you to do something for me. I want you to close your eyes and pick a rewarding moment in your experience working with your AVID students. Close your eyes. It would be that one experience that puts a smile instantly on your face. It would be that occasion when you feel all the hard work, long hours, and episodes of conflict have been justified. It would be that child or the event in the life of a child that helped you know why you ever chose this profession in the first place. Have you thought of something? Okay, now you can open your eyes. Very good, guys. I'd like to share a few of my experiences and moments with you. For those of you just starting in AVID, those of you who will be going back in September to start your AVID program, raise your hands. Let me see. Wow, oh my gosh. Okay. For you, please let me give you a foretaste of things to come. It has been a wonderful journey for me, very fulfilling. And I actually would feel selfish if I did not share some of that journey with you today. 5 years ago was the first time I had heard about the program. I was at a middle school conference in New Jersey. Where are my Jersey people? Jersey, yay! And this word AVID kept coming up in very positive settings. A military-style principal told us how he AVIDized his whole school, how his students were so fired up about AVID that when the fire bell rang, everybody grabbed their binders, and then they would go out. Those of you that are in AVID, you know what I'm talking about. I saw those huge binders displayed on the table, and even though I was skeptical about this principal's tactics, I became reassured when I spoke to the AVID teacher coordinator. Back then, I did not know I would become one of them. It was 4 long years getting the program for my school. Everything seemed set and ready to go. We had had road trips and lots of discussions and special observations. And then, all at once, my principal, my superintendent of schools, the assistant superintendent of schools, and my supervisor left. All were replaced by people who had never heard of AVID. Finally, a year later, with the help of local and regional AVID staffers, Janan Sumler, and Ellen Nickerson, is Ellen out here? And the brave new principal, Carol Butler, we made our commitment. I became the AVID teacher coordinator for a program that had been speaking to my heart, my soul, my spirit for 4 long years. We had little time for full preparations. I thank those coordinators and the AVID teacher in Millville, New Jersey, Lola Ames in particular, for helping me with interview forms, evaluation rubrics, form letters for parents. She just gave me everything she had, and I was so grateful. On a brilliantly sunny day in May 2008, the guidance counselor and I interviewed 50 candidates whom I had previously screened for standardized test scores, ethnicity, race, economic status, grades, the whole thing. But we did not have time to get any teacher recommendations. In clockwork fashion, we brought in all 50 students, one every 15 minutes. All but one seemed really eager. They wanted to find a way to improve. They wanted someone to help them. Out of the 50, we chose 36. By the time we got started, we had a total of 43 students in the AVID program in September. We had 2 classes of students who represented every variety of background, economic levels, and abilities. Each one, however, had something they wanted to master, some goal they wanted to achieve. I was so thrilled and just so eager to get started. As the school year began, I found myself engrossed in these students, so much more than I had before as a regular classroom teacher. I went to bed thinking about these students. I woke up thinking about these students. I even dreamt about these students. How could I tackle the shyness in one student who had a lot to offer, but was afraid to utter more than one sentence at a time in class? I would wake up with fresh ideas on how to redirect the leadership talents I saw in a student who constantly tried to negatively dominate his classmates. Why were these students so endearing to me? Why did I seem to care so much more? I finally realized why I was so totally enveloped in this program that began in 1980, developed by Mary Catherine Swanson. I now realize that I saw a little bit of myself in these students. I see you shaking your head, yeah. My hardships growing up were fairly mild compared to some of the stories I've heard by AVID students. I had 2 supportive parents who loved me and wanted the best for me, but neither of them had any college experience. And I spent most of my high school days trying desperately to understand why I felt I was on the outside looking in. What was on the inside? Did you hear that? What was on the inside? Privilege. Privilege. Where's privilege? Privilege, stand up. Privilege was on the inside. Opportunity. Where's opportunity? Opportunity was on the inside. Knowledge Where's knowledge? There we are. Knowledge was on the inside. A bright future. Where's our bright future? There she is, a bright future. All of those things were on the inside. What was on the outside, where my feet stood? Exclusion. Where's exclusion? There she is back there, way back there. Invisibility. Invisibility. Oh, she's visible. There she is. Invisibility. There she is. Denial. There you are, back there. Racism rears its ugly head. Thank you. Classism. Classism. Thank you. Not a bright future. Where's my not a bright future? There he is, all the way back there. There he is. Not a bright future. Those were the things that were on the outside where my feet stood. I was intelligent, but not so much that I stood out. I never made waves. Maybe if I had, at least the people who counted would have noticed me, and when it came to awards or scholarships or opportunities. I was the candidate for AVID back before there was an AVID. Halfway through this last school year, for a quick write assignment, I posed this question to my AVID students. What don't you like about AVID? Some complained about the Cornell notes. Anybody up here? A few didn't like to write so much. One boy, Jonathan, I love him, one boy said there was not one thing he didn't like about AVID. One student said she didn't like the program at all. Her grades were not improving, and she thought it was a total waste of her time. She had been told that if she took AVID, her grades would go up. When I read her paper, the whole class gasped in horror. After I thanked her for her candor, I asked for others to respond to her. You see, they were looking to me to respond, but I turned the tables back on them. Immediately, one of her classmates so simply said, "You gotta study." He was the same student who had moved up 2-letter grades in my class in one marking period. In other words, there is no magic pill. You do not take one AVID class with a glass of water and magically your grades improve. I did not have to say one thing. As time would tell, the first student, the one who said she had not seen any change in herself, did indeed have to amend her story. I will let her tell it in her own words. This was her end-of-the-year response as she and her fellow AVID classmates prepared their portfolio questions. She chose to answer this question: what were the highlight learning experiences of your year and why? Now, here's where you come in again. I want each of you to listen to the words that I'm reading from her essay. And I want you to hone in on some key words that are very important in this essay. And then there's going to be a test. I'm going to ask you for those key words. Are you ready? Okay. She wrote, I could go on and on about my highlight learning experiences of this year. Some were learning new study techniques and having those techniques work for me. The highlights were learning new things and the excitement of getting good grades. Study techniques helped me so much that whenever I took a test or a quiz, I felt so confident that for once I was so excited to get my grade back. These were highlights because they helped me so much and made me so confident in not only my grades, but in myself. AVID has taught me a lot, and I will try to never forget the study techniques because they changed my life, end quote. Okay, here's a test. What were some of the key words that you heard? These would be words that you would hope that your AVID students would say or have heard them say. What were some key words? Confidence. That's right. You got another one? Excitement. Study techniques. Any more? Those last few words she said, those last 4 words, I'm getting chills right now. They changed my life. Wow. AVID has taught me as a teacher that at least for these students, going the extra mile as a teacher means something to them. Not accepting poor quality work when you know that they can do better means something to them. Encouragement means something to them. Sincere interest means something to them. Shared happinesses and shared disappointments means something to them. Bringing them from the outside into the inside means something to them. I love each one of them. I want to see my students soar like I know they can, like I finally did, for them, for their future. If you're smiling now, my comments have done the intended task of having you remember your special moments in AVID. For those new to AVID, I say, my first year has been worthwhile beyond my imagination. Welcome to the AVID family. I thank you all so much for this opportunity.